about the risks that are there, even with Anchorage Digital. Is it possible the U.S. government could seize the assets there? Are the assets protected and insured? Talk about, you touched on it a little bit, but elaborate about Anchorage.
Yeah. So Anchorage is a federally chartered bank. They're regulated by the OCC. They were the first bank to ever receive a charter to be able to work with crypto. And that happened in Trump's first term toward the end, before the Biden administration and Operation Choke Point over the last 4 years here. Now that there's bipartisan, support for the asset class, things are obviously changing, and that's great. Now we've seen 5 other charters preemptively issued here just recently at the end of 2025. We got those. So there are some people that are competing, Bitco, Ripple, Paxos, I think Circle, and then there was one other that had their preliminary license issued by the OCC at the end of 25. Anchorage has been the longest standing. They have segregated bankruptcy remote, which is a big piece for crypto insured accounts. In 22, FTX and Voyager and Celsius and all of that happened. Many people lost billions of dollars. And that's because they weren't bankruptcy remote. Like, that's the one thing that I think traditional finance has gotten absolutely correct versus crypto is you have brokerage and you have custody, right? BNY Mellon, the custody, they corrected me when I told them this, but I want to say they said $65 trillion, but they manage about $9 trillion, right? And so, you being a fiduciary, you want to segregate that risk if the counterparty that you're using to be able to execute the trades goes under, which is more frequent in crypto than we would like. You don't want there to be risk that your clients are now a creditor of that platform. With Anchorage, you're never a creditor. It's an FBO account in the client's name. They are the owner of the assets, period. If there were a bankruptcy at Anchorage, which I don't think is going to happen, they've got a very strong balance sheet, close to $700 million currently on it. And I think they're going to IPO at some point in the future. They would then, have to go through the bankruptcy process, but those assets would stay in your client's account until there was another trust bank that took over that, and then they would have access to everything. And, God forbid something happens to us, another RIA can step in and manage the client's assets and set up an account and agreement with Anchorage. So, I kind of look at it like a 3-legged stool. If any one of those legs gets kicked out for whatever reason, the other 2 are still standing to make sure that the clients or their beneficiaries are in control of the assets and taken care of.